But that day come together really, really beautifully, and I had none to spare. I mean, I caught my last fish, about a 4-pounder, when I had about 40 minutes of fishing time left, and I culled one that was less than 2 pounds. So it was like a 2 or a little bit better pound cull right there late in the day.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I had 5 good bites that day. I landed all 5 of them. And one of those happened to be a 6-pounder that I caught that was hooked really funny, that I was very, very blessed to be able to get in the boat, the kind of fish that you lose a lot of times.
Tennessee WildCast is live on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. I'm excited about today's show. As you can see, we're not in our normal studio. You see some bait behind me, some trophies, a bass boat maybe in this corner. I don't know what you're seeing, but hey, guess where we are? Ott DeFoe's house in his man cave, the 2019 Bassmaster Classic champion. Isn't this awesome, Matt?
You know, I've done a couple podcasts with you now, but I've never been more excited to do one than I am right now. I'm almost giddy, to be honest with you.
So if you panned out to the wide shot, you see the trophy in front of us. And Ott, we are so glad you let us invade your space and be a part of the show today.
Absolutely, man. Very thankful for y'all to take your time to come out here and film right here at home, make it easy on me. But no, really awesome to be on the show and just get to talk about some bass fishing.
Well, you were out practicing earlier, doing some other fishing or something, so we had to accommodate for you.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. Yep.
I know you were out with your family, taking your son out.
Yeah.
I heard you had a pretty good day.
Yeah, it was. But living right here on the Holston River, man, having the ultimate playground, in my opinion, right in your backyard is something I try to take advantage of anytime we get the chance. And getting to go out there. And he may have beat me actually today. Quite possibly beat me in about every category that you can.
He did.
Yeah,
Parker, his son's already told us. Caught the most, caught the first, caught the last, caught the biggest, I think, and everything in between. I think there's actually been a fish added to the number,
Maybe,
too.
possibly.
Since the trip.
But at least he added one to my number, so we're good.
There you go. Yeah. I think we may have a new Bassmaster Classic champion in the future. What do you think?
Yeah.
No kidding. I know he can outdo me.
Me too. Well, let's jump right in. I'm excited to talk about how it feels to be the champion. Tell us about that.
Man, it's a dream come true. I mean, that may sound a little cliche, but it really is. From the time I was 9 years old, going to my very first Bassmaster Classic, that became my dream. And so to be able to have won this one anywhere would have been special. But being right here at home, not only in my home state, but in my hometown of Knoxville, just was that much better. I mean, it really was. So dream come true. Even surpassed any dream I could have imagined as to what it would be like. It certainly surpassed that.
And you've been chasing this dream for a long time now.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your ups and downs and getting to that point.
Absolutely, and I'll have to keep that pretty short.
Sure, yeah.
unless we got a couple of hours to talk about it. But no, for me, I mean, I started fishing locally, started fishing, team tournaments, that type of thing. Fished a club right here in East Tennessee. Worked my way up from that, bigger team tournaments up to like a AAA type level, and that was with FLW that I started on the EverStart and Strand Series and that kind of stuff.
Right.
To the FLW Tour. Fished that for 4 seasons before I made the switch over to the bass side, because I always wanted to fish the Classic, and with FLW you just can't get to a Bassmaster Classic. So I took that leap of faith definitely in 2011 to go to the Elite Series side, and that was where I started making the Classics and made the next 8 in a row, and this one in Knoxville being my 8th one, consistently, but first one that I was able to win.
I think that's a great one to bring home.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the perks of being a champion. I mean, tell us some of that. I mean, I'm sure, do your friends treat you any different, or are you walking around the Walmart and people are like, hey, that's hot?
I've got a lot more friends now, but no, the friends I've had certainly. I mean, they're good as gold and nothing any different there. But yeah, no, it's really awesome. And I think I'm able to see that even more so because it was a hometown deal. Just how much this town and the state and everybody else embraced it. That outpouring of support. Even the Food City right up the road up here, right after it had a congratulations Bassmaster Classic champ, Ott DeFoe. So seeing that up here in Granger County, at the Food City sign, that kind of support
That's awesome.
that the community has really poured out. That was what was really exciting, really humbling about it, just how much everybody here got behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you pronounced your name DeFoe.
That's right.
For the record,
yep.
we were saying DeFoe before we got here, and he had to set us straight on that.
Yeah.
And you said actually during the Classic you had to tell the announcer how to say your name.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was at my second Classic. I told Dave Mercer, who's done every Classic I've ever fished in, I said, and it's easy. I mean, a lot of people look at it and they want to say DeFoe, but yeah, it's actually the correct way is DeFoe is to pronounce it. And it might have been at a Classic where I kind of busted his bubble in front of however many thousands of people and told him the right way to say it. But yeah,
he got it right on this year, right?
Oh yeah, he's not missed it since.
1,000 times he must have said that.
Yeah.
And where'd you grow up, Ott?
Knoxville. Knoxville was my address from the time I was born until actually my wife and I first got married, and for about 18 months or so, we lived up in Dandridge, and then moved actually back next door to my mom and dad and lived there. And it was a Knoxville address. If you're familiar with Four-Way Inn,
yeah,
it was really close to Four-Way Inn.
Near the Cardin's over there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That shakes around.
I had a lot of milkshakes at Cardin's.
Hey man, we should go there.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Yeah, you really should for dinner. I mean, there ain't no doubt. It's a good place. But that area was where I was born and raised, and spent most of my life there. But actually now a couple years, getting close to a couple years here in Granger County in Blaine.
Now, where'd you go to high school?
Went to Jefferson County High School, actually.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
I went to Jeff, graduated in 97.
Okay.
And I believe brother-in-law Adam Martin had you in class maybe.
Okay.
First year or two he taught. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, Yeah,
Mr. Martin out in the
Bill Nate
in the ag.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, sure did.
I'm sure he didn't teach you anything about fishing.
No. But I did take his. It was you'll have to help me with the name of it, but it was a class where you grow stuff in water. So,
hydroponics or something?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Yeah, I took that class. That was one of his classes that I remember taking.
So I can say I went to the same high school as Ott DeFoe. DeFoe. Messed it up, and my brother-in-law had him in class. How cool is that, right?
Yep.
Now I'm in his man cave. You can see it looks like we're in a mini Bass Pro Shops here or something.
Yep.
He's got every kind of lure you can think of and every color you can imagine.
Yep.
Some you can't.
Yeah.
And you can't see if some rods hanging above us.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
A couple spares up there. It's amazing how much tackle you do go through. Fish as much as I do throughout the course of a year. And one of those pegs, I may not touch it for a year, but then the next year I may use every one of those and 10 more bags of them. You just never know which one it's going to be. And my line of work, you got to be stocked up.
Right, tools for the trade.
That's exactly right.
Well, let's get back to the Classic. I got us diverted there. I'm sorry. Each day of the Classic, we know you did well the first day, and we're all just tickled to death, and the second day things didn't go so good. Can you walk us through that? Yeah,
that first day was a dream day. It really was. And you look at it on paper, I had 20 pounds, had a 2.5 pound lead or something on the next closest angler. And you look at that, and I was only 20 pound bag. I mean, all this kind of stuff. Hometown, he's got a 2.5 pound lead. He's got this one in the bag, was kind of what everybody thought when you looked at that. But that day come together really, really beautifully, and I had none to spare. I mean, I caught my last fish, about a 4-pounder, when I had about 40 minutes of fishing time left, and I culled one that was less than 2 pounds. So it was like a 2 or a little bit better pound cull right there late in the day.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I had 5 good bites that day. I landed all 5 of them. And one of those happened to be a 6-pounder that I caught that was hooked really funny, that I was very, very blessed to be able to get in the boat, the kind of fish that you lose a lot of times. And just to get that particular fish to bite, I actually stopped on this point. I fished 100 times, probably more than 100 times. But I stop out there and I start going down one side of it, and the little voice inside my head said, man, remember that little bit of rock outcropping over here on this other side? So I actually spun the boat around, kicked around to the other side of that point, fired that Storm Arashi vibe up there, and caught that 6-pounder. So it was just stuff like that happened throughout the whole day, timing, being in the right place at the right time. That first day went perfect. It could not have went any better.
Okay.
The second day honestly started off really good. I caught a good fish in the first 45 minutes of the day, maybe an hour of the day, and that was kind of my pace. I mean, if I could catch a good fish every hour and a half even, I didn't need to catch but 5, and I knew I was going to catch kind of the right quality. So I caught a good one early, fished a little bit more, caught a couple keepers, and then it went totally stale. My rotation was bad, my timing was off, whatever it was, I don't know. And I finally had to go through plan B, C, D, and E, went to F, and just to go catch a couple keepers, just to finish out my limit. And and ended up culling a couple times, but never with any fish of any size. And, to have been so to have been on such a high that first day of having such a big bag, everything going so perfect, being on top of the world, leading the Classic here at home, to the next day where the only thing that went right in about the first hour, and then it was the wheels fell off the bus from there on.
Wow.
I felt like I gave it away. I really did, because it was, I had I didn't have a huge lead after the first day, but if I'd had just a decent bag again, 15 pounds.
Average day.
I would have had a big lead at that point in time. And, to now sitting back in fourth place, I'm a couple pounds out of the lead. I'm not out of it, but I'm not up there with a big cushion where I really wanted to be.
Right.
I was pretty upset. I really was. I was upset with myself. I didn't understand why it had to be this way. I didn't understand God's greater plan in this event, and to why he wanted to put me up on a podium the first day, then to just knock me right back down on the second day.
Humble you a little bit.
But he had a plan in it, and to go back out on that final day, and that when I got to where I started fishing, I realized exactly why I didn't need to be leading, because I could see some of the other guys who were ahead of me, Jacob Wheeler and Chris Aldane, a couple other guys who were fishing the same general area. And, man, they had just tons and tons of boats following them, which is fine. I've dealt with that. I dealt with it a lot on the first couple of days, and it's neat to have that, but it is a distraction. And, I didn't need all that extra pressure. I didn't need to know that I was the one who could lose something. I was the one who was in a place I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that was a really, really dangerous place to be in. And I actually told them that morning before we left the dock, I said, I have nothing to lose, nothing whatsoever. So I could just go fish free, just go fishing, and take it as it came.
And that was what spelled success for you ultimately.
It did. I went out, I caught a couple keepers fairly quick, nothing big. And then about 9:30, I made a move to a marina where I hadn't fished any in practice, any in the tournament before that, but just decided to pull up on this marina, started throwing a bladed jig, and right off the bat caught like a 2.5-pounder, so decent fish. And then the very next one was almost 4, or it might have been actually a little bit over 4. Finished off my limit pretty quick, come back through it, caught another 4-pounder and a 3.5-pounder, and one of those kind of deals. And so I had a really good bag when I left there, probably 16 or a little better. And I hit a couple more places, and almost mirror image of the first day where I had less than an hour's fishing time left. Still had about a 25-minute run back up the lake. Actually, I only had about 20 minutes fishing time left. And a place that was really good to me the first day, we got just a little bit of breeze on that final afternoon, pushing over across that point. And again, it was just that little voice in my head that said, you might ought to give that place one more shot. And I pull up over there and catch a 4-pounder. And that was,
wow.
People have asked me, like, when did you think you had won? When I lipped that fish and I put it in the boat, and it was a 2-pound cull again there, I was like, yeah, I've probably sealed the deal on this thing. Yep.
And you talking about the breeze pushing across the point. Tell our people listening, why does that make a difference?
Yeah. It's kind of funny because when we fished Fort Loudon at that point in time, they were running tons of water. Actually, the water right here behind the house was higher than I've ever seen it. Same on the French Broadside. They were pumping 65 or 70,000 cubic feet per second. Being a river guy, I'd follow all that stuff. I keep up with that a lot. Yeah. That's as much current as I've ever fished on that system down there on Fort Loudon. So there was tons and tons and tons of current. And so the water's moving like crazy anyway.
Yeah.
But, man, that wind, it disturbs the surface of the water, and it just makes those fish more active. I mean, there was current pushing a little bit across that place, so it's not that the wind was pushing the water. The current was already moving. Mm-hmm. But it's just the fact that wind kind of breaks the surface. It makes those fish a little bit more comfortable, and it disguises you and your bait just that much better. That's really the biggest thing as an angler, is if you're fishing a place where the water's slick calm versus a place where there's just a couple inches of ripple, you've got so much more of an advantage as an angler because that fish just can't tell what's going on. Just a simple thing on that. If you're ever in a swimming pool, look at it when that water is glass calm. Look at the bottom, then look at it when you've got a ripple. And you almost can't tell what's going on down there on the bottom. You can't tell how deep it is. But when it's really slick calm, you can make out every penny on the bottom. It's no different for those fish being down there looking up or looking down at your bait if it's a bottom bait. But having that surface disturbance just gives the angler a huge advantage.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with somebody I never considered. I thought maybe the wind had pushed the bait fish in or something, had something to do with that. But it had nothing to do with it.
It really didn't. I actually stopped on that point earlier in the day, and I saw some really big gizzard shad up there flipping around on that point earlier in the day, but the fish just wouldn't bite. I actually had a couple just bump the bait, but they wouldn't eat it good enough to get hooked up because they're too aware of everything at that point in time. But once you get that surface broke up a little bit, and it don't take a lot sometimes, just a little bit goes a long way.
Nice.
Tell us about you've caught this last fish. It's 4 pounds. I'm sure your stomach's in knots. You're trying to get back to the stadium.
Yeah.
Tell us that when you're going in and you're on your boat and about to weigh in, what's the feeling? What's the feeling like right there?
From the time we got back, and I did a couple of interviews as soon as we got back because they kind of felt like that I'd won and stuff. It was the only thing I wanted to do, and I'd called my wife. I just wanted to see her and the kids. That was that was the people that I wanted to see right then, just if at all possible. There was just no way for them to get out of the arena and get to see them. So I wanted to hurry up, weigh in. I wanted to get it all over with so I could see them on the stage and embrace them and share this moment with them. There was nothing more I wanted to do at that point in time than just to embrace with them and for them to get to enjoy this moment.
That's awesome. And so then do you know that you've won until that fish is weighed on stage? You
really don't, because nothing's official.
Right, okay.
I talked with Jacob. I talked with other guys who were ahead of me and stuff. And of course, with bass, they've got Bass Track, but it's not official. Not everybody weighs their fish. Actually, in those events, I'll weigh them to cull and that kind of stuff. So typically, if everything's entered, my fish are pretty accurate on their deal. But not everybody is that way. So some guys will be 2 pounds heavy, some guys will be 2 pounds light. But I talked with Jacob backstage, and we were allowed to do that. And he's like, "No, man, I've got 12 or 13 pounds, whatever it was he had." So he wasn't pulling my leg or anything. But you still until it's called out, until it's official, it ain't official. And it was a big relief once Tripp finally said, or Mercer finally said what the final weight was.
That's awesome.
And how much again does that trophy weigh there?
35.5 pounds. As much as I lugged it around, I felt like it was a lot more, but I had to set it on the scale just to know for sure. But 35.5 pounds.
At least you got it over your head.
Oh yeah, I saw that, man. Oh God, I'd drop it. Break it right in front of everybody. But I see the names of all the previous winners on here. And when was the first Classic fished?
The first Classic, I'll look over here just so I don't get it wrong, 71.
71. So that trophy has been going since then.
Yeah.
And names are being added to it. And, of course, you keep this one, but the next one will have your name.
That's right.
Engraved on it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The next winner will have that in his
man
cave. Maybe in here, we hope, right?
Yeah, it'd be fine by me, yeah.
Are you still fishing with the Bassmasters, or have you changed?
Yep, I'm fishing the Major League Fishing now. The Bass Pro Tour is what I'm doing now.
Tell us how that works. That's pretty cool from what I've heard about it.
It really is. With Major League Fishing, two big things with them that compare them to any other circuit. Number one is every fish counts. So as long as it weighs a pound or more, it goes to your total weight.
Okay.
The part with that works is the fact that we catch it. There's an official in the boat. We weigh it. We immediately release it. So we can fish. A place has an 18-inch size limit on smallmouth, a slot limit. None of those things matter because we never retain the fish. So we can catch it, we can weigh it, we can immediately release it. So it's a huge thing as far as conservation, as far as taking care of the fishery is concerned. Bass has always done an outstanding job, has a 98 or 99% live release rate. So, they take really good care of the resource as well. But with ours, there's almost no impact whatsoever. Whether it's a local tournament, a AAA, a professional level, you always haul those fish back to a central location. You weigh them there, and then even when they have a release boat, they only go out a mile, 2 miles, 5 miles will be a really long way for them to take them. Well, anglers may have run 50, 60, 70 miles to go catch these fish. So you always, and we've dealt with it on local lakes around here, you always deal with some stockpiling of fish, around boat ramps that are used a lot for tournaments.
Right.
And that's just kind of creates an unbalanced fishery, for a little bit. So that's the great thing with the Major League Fishing format is that we catch that fish, we weigh it, we immediately release it. So like an event we had just a few weeks ago or one we had down at Chickamauga where we're catching a lot of fish that are spawning. We can catch that fish, we can weigh it, we can let it go. It goes right straight back to the bed to be able to finish spawning, successfully. So there's a lot of great things with that format. But somewhat similar as far as the tour of it goes. We have 8 regular events. We have a Red Crest, which is our championship. But we actually have those bonus events with Major League Fishing as well, what everybody's seen on TV for years and years, which are the Major League Fishing Cups. So those are also shot along with that. With the tour, I'm in my own rig, and the Cups, that's the ones where you're in their boat. Everybody's in the same deal. and you know nothing until you pull up at the ramp.
A little more suspense.
Yes.
A lot more.
Yeah, when you pull up there at the ramp and they say, here's where you're fishing today, good luck.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Where in the Bass Pro Tour, you get like a day and a half of practice to go out and scout. You know where you're going ahead of time. You can look at maps. You can look at Google Earth, that type of stuff. With the Cups, it's totally in the dark. You don't even know the city you're going to until about 2 weeks prior before you go there.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
So with the Bassmaster, when it came to town, I wasn't ready for the circus that came with it. I mean, I knew it'd be big, but I had no clue.
Yeah.
Is there anything similar with the tour you're at now? Do they travel around and have the big stage and the show?
There's a really big stage, but most of our focus is based on live. So everything that we do. So the most anglers there are in a day is 40 anglers that are out there on the water. There's 10 cameras that are in anglers' boats. There's 4 more cameras that are floating around live. So you just have so much live coverage that you can watch and actually see all that action as it happens. Better than you can if you're there in person to try to watch something because you can pull it up on your phone and watch 10 different anglers.
Yeah.
You know, so
we were talking about that earlier. I was in a patrol boat a couple of days and got to pull that up and watch y'all fishing, and it was cool for us to get to see that through the Bassmasters. So it's going to be similar to that, only everything's
expanded.
Live.
It's all expanded with that, especially with the tour, because there's, like the Classic, for example, there were 50 or so anglers in it. I think there were maybe 5 or 6 live cameras. We've got 40 anglers, so a few less anglers with 10 live cameras.
Okay.
So, wow. You know, they're just able to catch so much more of the action because so many, 25% of the field has a camera in the boat.
And it helps people like me that can't fish a lick watch what you're doing and maybe might learn something from you.
Absolutely, because that's, watching that live stuff, if I'm not out there fishing, I can watch it. I about can't turn it off. Being a fisherman at all, it's really hard to turn that off when it's on.
Okay. That's exciting.
Well, speaking of folks like me and you that don't know a whole lot about fishing, how about a little AOD right now? What do you think?
According to Ott DeFoe.
So this is our new segment that Matt just came up with today.
Okay.
On the way over here. And what were you telling us earlier? This is what you
what you ought to do.
Ought to do. You hear that? All right.
According to Ott DeFoe, you ought.
This is what you ought to do.
These are all Ott's opinions on fishing here.
Absolutely.
All right. According to Ott DeFoe, what is the top bass fishing lake in Tennessee?
Top bass fishing lake in Tennessee. In Ott's opinion, where you ought to go would probably be Chickamauga, especially if you're really wanting to target a big fish. There's no place in our state that cranks out more 10-pounders than Chickamauga. I filmed down there a few times for my show and stuff, and man, it's a lot of fun. Now, you said lake. If you were going to say river, that would have been a much harder choice because we've got so many great rivers here in East Tennessee.
Give us your river then.
I live on the Holston, so I'm definitely a little partial to it. But the French Broad is also one I'm pretty partial on. Some of the tournaments I've won on Douglas.
Yeah,
French Broad's had a big part in some of those. So I've probably won more, other than Fort Loud now.
Yeah,
but I had won more up the French Broad River than I had anywhere else.
Okay,
yep.
This is my home turf down here, so I understand what he's talking about.
He's taking notes.
Yep. All right. According to Ott DeFoe, what is the top bass fishing lake in the nation?
In the nation, man,
wow.
that's a tough one. One that I've been to, and I get asked that a lot. Anywhere in the country that you go, so many of the places in the South, whether it's Florida, Texas, you've got a chance at catching just a really, really huge giant fish. 10, 12 pounder, that kind of stuff, but a lot of the places we go up north, the quality is just unbeatable. And the two that always rival each other are the St. Lawrence River up in New York and Lake St. Clair in Michigan.
Okay.
You wouldn't go wrong with either one of those. To me, you could flip a coin and say one or the other. I would probably go with the St. Lawrence River, though, just because I am a river guy.
How about that?
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Learning some stuff here. All right. According to Ott DeFoe, what is the single best bass fishing lure there is? If you could only fish one lure the rest of your life, what would you fish?
It's probably going to be the answer that you've heard a lot. And what you ought to throw for the rest of your life is a jig.
Okay.
A half-ounce jig, whether it's swimming a white one, that's, fishing a brown and orange one on the bottom, it looks like a crawdad, flipping it in trees. A jig is what you ought to have tied on all the time.
A jig, all right. This is good here.
We ought to jig.
Yep.
These last two, I'm going to go with, we'll go in order here. All right, according to Ott DeFoe, who is the best current or professional I'm sorry, the best current professional or amateur bass fisherman in Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
There's a lot of good guys that club fish that could
yeah.
just wear somebody out at any time. So who's
Yeah.
the best fisherman? I know you're the top here besides Ott DeFoe.
I'm going to say Ott DeFoe.
Could you put a name on that? That's
Man,
tough.
that is a tough one. But I would have to say the guys I fish against, man, Andy Morgan is probably about as good natural angler as what I've ever seen. I mean, he won that event down there on Chickamauga we had this year, and man, just an awesome individual, but just really a very, very talented natural angler, just all around. I mean, it doesn't matter where you put him, he's probably going to come back with some fish.
Okay. Shout out to Andy Morgan there.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, and the last one, according to Ott DeFoe, who is the best professional or amateur bass fisherman of all time?
Of all time.
There's a lot of good names on that
good
trophy
choices
right
out
there.
Yeah, there are.
Is there a hero you had growing up, or somebody that he's who I want to be?
The person I looked up to a lot was Jay Yellis. That's the guy who I met early in my career, and I've always admired the way he carries himself, being a godly man, and just the way he's always done things is one. But another one is, and my son's name is Parker. That's named after Hank Parker.
Okay.
That's not by chance. So
Yeah.
Hank is definitely a guy that I've always looked up to, and again has done things the right way. He won a couple classics.
Yep.
And yeah, no, definitely a very good, godly man, and somebody that I've got to spend a little bit of time with. Never been in a boat with either one of those guys actually, but both of those are really great individuals.
Have you got to tell him that your son's named after him?
I have.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I
That
actually
is
saw him this
special.
last week up in Wisconsin at a Mercury Summit deal. But yeah, I would ought to say that Hank Parker would probably be my number one.
Awesome.
Yep.
All
You know,
right.
it's amazing that your name's going to be on that, or it's right there on that trophy share with him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's part of that dream come more than I could have ever imagined in that dream that came
Oh,
true.
yeah.
And speaking of family, tell us about your family here.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
We'll leave that out.
Absolutely. Jenny and I, this year, 2019, in August, will have been married for 15 years, dated in high school, and got married not long after high school. But Abby will be 12, or she is 12. They all just had birthdays. Abby turned 12, and then we've got Parker and Lizzie that are twins that are 8 now. So
Twins.
one boy, 2 girls, and yeah.
Life is good.
Yes, very, very blessed family.
Blessed.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to it, but we're going to run out of time. Got 2 minutes. Do you hunt and fish?
Yes, yeah,
Awesome.
and I've just recently got into hunting. It's not something that I've done my whole life, but actually my kids are who've got me into hunting. Abby and Parker have both already shot a deer.
Awesome.
Oh,
Dad's
yeah.
still not shot one yet.
Okay.
We went and chased some turkeys a little bit this spring. Didn't get one of those,
buddy.
but yeah, no, we've got into that and recently got a bow and getting into bow fishing a little bit. So yeah,
Okay.
And then one more before we got to go.
Okay.
Who introduced you to fishing?
It would have been my dad.
Okay,
Yep,
cool.
absolutely. My dad. At a young age, I fished my first tournament with my dad when I was 9 years old. And yeah, I got to thank him for getting me into something I had a passion about. And then he was there to always fuel that passion and get me on the water every time we had a chance. And
Who knew
it's
it'd
got
be
me
this
where it
big?
be. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
your brother's a pretty good fisherman, too, I
He's
hear.
not too bad either.
Yeah.
Yep, no
Old
doubt.
Sonny.
Yeah, yep.
Family affair.
Yes, sir.
Ott
Nice.
DeFoe, we
Yes.
appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for allowing
Yes.
us to
Thank you
invade
so
your
much.
space.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And, Matt, thank you for co-hosting with me
Thanks
today.
for having me, man. I'm
Yeah.
thrilled.
Hey, thank y'all for watching. Tune in on Facebook, watch this, YouTube. We're on social media all over the place. Here getting the information out to you. And thanks to Ott, man. It's been awesome. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.